Psychology has a strange paradox. A lot of genuinely gifted people never realize they're gifted, not because they're blind, not because they're humble, but because real giftedness rarely looks like the movie version. School teaches you that intelligence is tidy, high grades, quick answers, impressive vocabulary, perfect behavior. But the mind of a gifted person is often messy. It shows up as intensity, contradiction, sensitivity, and a kind of inner pressure that can feel more like a problem than a talent. And if you've spent years feeling too much or not enough at the same time, you might not be broken. You might be misreading the signals. Here are 10 signs you could be gifted without knowing it, and why each one gets misunderstood. 1. Your mind doesn't rest, it scans. You get bored quickly, but it's not because you're lazy. It's because your brain finishes the lesson before everyone else does. Once you understand the pattern, repetition feels like punishment. Gifted minds crave complexity the way normal minds crave comfort. So when you're forced into routine, you don't just feel bored, you feel trapped. That restlessness is often your mind looking for a real problem to solve, not another task to complete. 2. You feel everything at full volume. A lot of gifted people have a nervous system that's tuned high. Happiness doesn't feel nice. It feels expansive. Sadness doesn't feel down. It feels heavy. This intensity can make you look dramatic from the outside, but what's actually happening is deeper processing. You don't skim life, you absorb it, and that emotional depth, when managed well, becomes empathy, artistry, leadership, and real insight. When unmanaged, it becomes burnout. 3. You doubt yourself more than you should. This one confuses people. Shouldn't smart people be confident? Not always. Gifted people tend to be painfully aware of what they don't know. The more you understand, the more you see the edges of your understanding. That creates a specific kind of humility that can look like insecurity. Meanwhile, less capable people often feel more confident because they can't see what they're missing. That's why gifted people can feel behind, even while outperforming everyone around them. 4. Once something grabs you, it won't let go. You don't think about problems. You live inside them. You replay the conversation, examine the angle you missed, test different solutions in your head at 2 a.m. People call it rumination. But there's a difference between anxious rumination and gifted processing. Gifted processing isn't random worry. It's your brain refusing to accept incomplete understanding. The key is learning to steer it. If you can direct that obsessive focus toward the creation and skill, it becomes a superpower. 5. Your senses pick up what other people filter out. Lights feel too bright. Noises feel too loud. Certain textures irritate you. You notice small details and tiny shifts in tone that others miss. This isn't being difficult. It's often heightened sensory processing. Your brain takes in more data. That can be exhausting, but it also means you're more observant, more perceptive, and often more accurate about what's really happening in a room. 6. You see patterns everywhere. You connect dots. Other people don't even notice exist. Two unrelated ideas suddenly fit together in your head. You predict outcomes because you recognize a familiar structure underneath new information. This is one of the clearest markers of high-level cognition, pattern recognition, and systems thinking. It's not just being smart, it's seeing the architecture behind the surface. 7. You're not satisfied with good. You can do something well and still feel uncomfortable because you can see how much better it could be. That's not arrogance, it's vision. Perfectionism in gifted people often isn't about impressing others. It's about living with the gap between what you produced and what you imagined. The danger is when this turns into paralysis. The strength is when you use it as a compass instead of a whip. 8. You often feel out of place, even in your own life. You can be surrounded by people and still feel like you're operating on a different frequency. The conversation feels shallow. The priorities feel strange. The social games feel pointless. Gifted people often experience this as something is wrong with me, but sometimes it's simply mismatch, not superiority, mismatch. Your mind craves meaning and depth, and many environments are built for convenience and comfort. 9. Curiosity is not a hobby for you, it's a need. You ask why automatically. You want the mechanism, not the conclusion. You can't stop peeling layers off topics: psychology, history, systems, people, money, power, relationships, anything. Some people call it overthinking, but real. Curiosity is a sign of a mind that doesn't accept shallow explanations. It wants truth, structure, and cause. 10. When you focus, you disappear. When something matters to you, it becomes all consuming. You lock in so intensely that time collapses. You forget to eat. You forget your phone exists. This is not normal attention. It's deep immersion. It's one of the reasons gifted people can build skills at an elite level when they're aligned with the task. The downside is exhaustion. The upside is mastery. Now, here's the part most people miss. Giftedness doesn't always feel like a gift. Sometimes it feels like being too sensitive for the world, too restless for routine, too intense for casual relationships, too aware to relax, too different to fit neatly into the system. That's why so many gifted people grow up believing they're flawed. They're not failing intelligence. They're struggling with intensity. They're not lacking ability. They're lacking an environment that matches their wiring. The real shift happens when you stop asking, "What's wrong with me?" and start asking, "What am I built for?" Because once a gifted person finds the right arena, something demanding, meaningful, complex, everything that used to feel like a problem turns into fuel. Restlessness becomes drive. Sensitivity becomes perception. Self-doubt becomes humility and growth. Obsessive focus becomes skill. Pattern recognition becomes strategy. So here's the question. How many of these signs hit you personally? Write your number in the comments. And if you want more psychology breakdowns like this, real, practical, and designed to sharpen your mind, subscribe. You might not need motivation. You might just need to realize what you are.